The wind carried a strange kind of silence across the high desert that morning, the kind that settles in the bones before a man even understands why. Jacob Calder felt it the moment he rode over the final ridge and saw the ranch he had poured every dollar he'd ever saved into. It stood quiet, too quiet, the barn door yawning open like a warning. Jacob tugged his horse to a stop, breath-catching as his instincts, the ones honed from years of drifting, fighting, and surviving, whispered that something was terribly wrong here. Jacob had chased the dream of owning land for half his life. After working cattle drives from Texas to Wyoming, after long winters frozen to the saddle and summers scorched to dust, he finally had enough money to settle. He wanted roots. He wanted peace. He wanted a place to build a life he'd never had as a boy. But peace was a tricky thing in the West, and dreams had a habit of costing more than a man expected. He dismounted slowly, boots crunching on dead straw as he approached the barn. A foul heaviness pooled in the air, fear, he realized. Not his own, but the lingering kind that people leave behind in their last moments. The barn was dim, early sun filtering through cracks in the wood. That was when Jacob froze, every muscle locking as if his own breath had turned to stone. There, suspended from the thick loft beam, hung the figure of a girl, no, a young woman, her body unnaturally large, towering like someone meant for a world bigger than this one. Her feet almost brushed the hay-littered floor, her dark hair swaying in the faint breeze. She was unlike anyone Jacob had ever seen, easily 7.5 feet tall, broad-shouldered yet graceful, her clothes torn and dusty as if she'd run far and hard before ending here. But her eyes were closed, her face pale, and her stillness struck him with the force of a bullet. For a heartbeat Jacob couldn't move. Then instinct kicked in. He scrambled forward, knife in hand, cutting the rope with a single determined slice. The girl crashed into his arms, heavy as an anvil and twice as awkward, but alive. Barely. Her chest rose in small, struggling breaths. Jacob lowered her to the ground and pressed his ear to her ribs, relief washing through him when he heard a faint heartbeat. "You're all right," he murmured, voice trembling. "You're still here. I've got you." He didn't know who she was, who had done this, or why she was on his property, but none of that mattered. A life was a life, and the West already had too few good ones left. Jacob carried her into the farmhouse, his muscles screaming under her weight. It took nearly all his strength. She was built like a monument, solid, powerful, made for a world that mistreated her for being different. He laid her on his bed, wiped the dust from her face, and worked to get her breathing steadier. It wasn't until midday that her eyes finally opened. They were amber, bright and startling, the eyes of someone who had seen too much and survived too many miracles already. "Where?" she whispered. "You're safe," Jacob said. "I'm Jacob Calder. You were hanged in my barn. I cut you down." Fear flashed across her eyes before shifting into something sharper, anger masked by exhaustion. "Men came, 3 of them. Wanted to take me, sell me. Said someone'd pay good money for a freak. I ran here without knowing whose land it was. Thought maybe I'd lose them. But they caught me. I fought, hurt them. But, they still," her voice broke. Jacob's blood turned to fire. He had fought men like that before. He had seen their trail of destruction follow frontier towns like a plague. But something about this, about them torturing this girl simply because she was different, set a fury inside him that he hadn't felt in years. "What's your name?" Jacob asked softly. "Alona," she said. "My people call me Alona. Sky stands tall." It suited her, beautiful, strong, shaped by something ancient and wild. Jacob patched her wounds, cooked what little food he had, and kept watch through the night. But as dawn came, the quiet of the ranch broke. 3 riders appeared at the edge of the property, rough men with twisted smiles and guns on their belts. Men who looked like they'd sold more people than cattle. Jacob met them at the fence line, hat low, stand steady. "This is private land," he said. The leader, a scarred brute named Clinton Wade, grinned. "We know. Girl you got in that house ain't yours. She's ours. Sold property, runaway freak. Hand her over." Jacob's jaw clenched. "I ain't handing anyone over. She's no one's property." Wade's smile faded. "Then you're making this your problem, rancher. You sure you want that?" "I am," Jacob said, heart steady as a drumbeat. The riders left, but Jacob knew they would return. And he knew they wouldn't come alone. Inside the house, Alona tried to sit up, pain twisting her features. "I should leave," she said. I brought danger to your doorstep. No, Jacob replied firmly. You brought the truth of what they are. And this land, my land, can't start its life with me running from cowards. Over the next 2 days, the two of them worked together fortifying the ranch. Alona, growing stronger, revealed skills that stunned Jacob: tracking, hunting, crafting traps, reading the wind like it whispered secrets to her. She belonged to the land in a way he never had, and despite all she had suffered, she carried herself with quiet dignity. She also shared her story, born different, not by curse but by the blood of a long line of guardians, beings her tribe believed were marked to protect the land's balance. Her size made her a target. Outsiders captured her family long ago. Some escaped, some didn't. She had been running for years. Jacob listened, heart heavy. He knew what it was like to run, to feel hunted by things you couldn't control. By the time Wade and his gang returned, now a dozen strong, Jacob and Alona were ready. The battle that followed was fierce, but not the kind sung about in saloons. It was gritty, chaotic, desperate. Jacob fought with the precision of a man who'd survived too much to go down easy, and Alona fought with the strength of someone who refused to let the world break her again. She moved like a storm, silent, powerful, unstoppable. When it was over, the surviving outlaws fled into the desert, leaving Jacob's ranch battered but standing. Jacob fell to the ground, breath heaving, as Alona stood beside him, eyes scanning the horizon for any lingering threat. You could stay, Jacob said when silence finally settled. Not because you owe me anything, but because you deserve a place where you're not hunted. Alona looked at the ranch, at the open land stretching endlessly in every direction. No one's ever said that to me, she murmured. I mean it, Jacob replied. This land is big enough for both of us to start new. Slowly, cautiously, she nodded. In the weeks that followed, they rebuilt the ranch together. The scars of the battle remained, but so did something new, a partnership built on trust, survival, and a shared desire for peace. Word spread through the territory of the rancher who protected the giant girl, and soon the story changed from fear and cruelty to wonder and respect. Travelers came seeking wisdom, safety, or simply to see the ranch where two unlikely souls had built a haven. Jacob got the roots he had always wanted. Alona got the home she had never known. And the land, wild, harsh, beautiful, finally held a place where the broken could heal, where the hunted could rest, and where a man and a woman who had every reason to give up chose instead to rise. Their story became a quiet legend. Not of gunfights or glory, but of courage, the courage to protect someone different, to stand when others run, to build when everyone else destroys. And in the end, they proved a truth the Wild West often forgot.